Welcome back to this Rift Let's Play. You're Sambo, and joining us as always is Seraphim, our little mage, and of course you may not recognise who's standing beside me here apart from the wonderful guild names here. Yes, I'm surrounded by members of Seraphim, our brand new guild here on our brand new server, and also you may notice that there's someone there called Little Rock. Now, before we let you know who that is, I'm just going to spin the camera around here, and we're going to just zoom in a little bit on their nether regions there. You know, that could only be one person. That can only be Tallahassee playing Little Rock this evening. How are you this evening, my friend?
Yeah, that made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm still swung around on it, actually. What is going on with that armor? That's not... Did you forget to put your pants on? Or is that your armor? Surely that's not your armor.
That is my armor.
But that's ridiculous. That's like a metal bikini type thing. I mean, I bet that.
Yeah, she's.
Yeah, do you get really disturbed having to look at that?
And ass cheeks out.
Yeah, that's typical. You know, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have recognised you. But before we go on any further, tell us about this character, because obviously this is an alt of yours. It's certainly not Tallahassee. Tallahassee doesn't quite have the rare features that this character has. So obviously it's a cleric. What spec are you running here?
Okay, I am Sentinel, Warden, and Purifier. On this particular one, it's more for hot and that sort of thing, but I have another one that's for direct heals as well.
Okay, rightio. And of course, there's a very special reason why you are playing your alt Little Rock. By the way, cool name. Is there anything behind that? You always have some crazy story behind your names. Is there anything special behind Little Rock?
Yeah, it's a character from Zombieland.
Ah, okay. So in other words, all of our viewers just went, "Oh my God, Sambo, you're such a moron, and you've got to watch that movie," right? I really do have to watch
it. And it's just so everyone knows, this is a movie that I've been telling him to watch for about the last 6 months. I said, I'll bring you the Blu-ray. All you got to do is sit down and watch it.
I know.
I don't like horror movies.
I don't like. I'm such a big girl. I don't. I'm really squeamish, so I'm scared to watch it. I mean, you know, Princess Bride is scary for me. Anyhow, there's a very special reason that you are playing this character, and of course, you can see, guys, on the portraits here that he's got the little healing icon next to him, so he's elected to be a healer. But there's 4 of us here because we are going to be doing something really cool tonight. And if I open up my looking for group tab here, you can see that we've got a number of dungeons we can run. One of them is Darkening Deeps, and we said to the guys in the guild, hey, we'd really love to run this particular instance because we haven't captured it on film yet. And look at this, these guys have come out in force and said, hey, no problems, we'll help you. So I'm pleased to say that we're joined by a couple of the guild members. One of them, of course, Crowsius there on my left. Hello to you. Now, he's got no voice chat, but he's going to be communicating through a series of lewd emotes. There we go. And of course, he's taking up Tallahassee's old mantle of bearing his nipples. So, you know, we've gone from one disturbing feature to another. Although I must say, Tallahassee, I do prefer I do prefer the rear to the nipples. So yeah, maybe we'll have to carry on the series with Little Rock. I'm not sure. But Crowsius, thank you very much for joining us. And of course, his role is warrior. There you can see. And it says that he's defensive, but he is actually going to be doing DPS. If anything else, he's going to be scaring mobs with his frightening helm there. So thank you very much for joining us. And it's also a wonderful pleasure to have Dubid along with us, otherwise known as Dub, if you shorten his name. I believe you're on voice chat. Are you there, Dub?
Hello, hello.
He is, and of course we can tell by that fine accent that you're a fellow Australian. Now I understand that you're doing some disturbing rear wiggling there. That's a very fetching outfit you've got on, by the way. You know, you can stop that whenever you like. But I understand that you're actually from one of my favourite cities in Australia. Is that right?
I am indeed. I am.
So you're from Sydney. Oh, well, look, we can't have everything perfect. Look, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for agreeing to come on board and chat with us as well. Now, if you don't mind, how long have you actually been playing Rift? Have you been playing since it was released?
I've been playing since Beta 4.
Oh my lord.
Correctly.
Wow.
So, officially, I've been playing since the head start started.
Wow, when was that? That was late last year, was it?
Beta Beta 4 was. Head Start was at the end of February, I think.
Oh, okay. Gosh, it seems so long ago now. So you will have seen the game go through all sorts of changes. I was talking to Tallahassee the other day, and there was actually a time when we were looking at Rift, and we actually thought to ourselves, do we want to have a look at another MMO? And we totally dismissed it as, well, we actually thought it would be another sort of Asian grindfest style of free-to-play game. And boy, are we glad that we got that one wrong, and we decided to pick it up. So you've clearly, obviously, played other MMOs, I'd imagine. You're not just Rift, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. I started playing EverQuest 2 several years ago.
Right, good old EQ2. Did you ever play EQ1?
Yep. Well, after I started playing EQ2, I went back to EQ1.
Oh, good lord.
Which, was interesting.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's a good way of describing EQ1. Of course, a lot of us have fond memories of that, but gosh, it really has, it's so hardcore and, non-user friendly these days. I'm surprised it's still going, but of course, a lot of people hold it in high regard. Are you a WoW fiend? Have you ever dabbled in the WoW?
I am not. I was, I consider myself fortunate enough to have missed that.
Yep, fair enough.
We kind of thought of ourselves. We kind of
I
thought
have a
of
spare key if you
Quest
want
2
it.
as the connoisseur's game.
All right, I like Tallahassee. I like the way this guy thinks. Did you ever go back as far? Like Tallahassee and I quite often get reminded in Rift of a game that is not with us no longer, actually, called Tabula Rasa, because in that game there used to be invasions very similar to Rift. I don't suppose you were a Tabula Rasa player back when it was alive?
No, I played the demo for the 7 days or whatever it was, but
right.
Didn't go any further.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, Tallahassee will agree. I don't think there were too many redeeming features, but it's just there were certain features of it that have come to Rift, and what we've sort of come to realise is that Rift, we feel, has taken all the great aspects of other MMOs and sort of rolled it all up into a great big ball and planted it here in Talara, and we absolutely love it. So now, you're being the high and mighty guild person that you are, of course, and again, thanks for inviting us to the guild, very much appreciate it. How many members have we actually got here? Because we've just transferred over. Have we done a bit of a cull, or have we lost members, or are we still going strong? Or how's the move been on the guild?
Well, we've currently got, I'm just doing a quick check, we've got about 20 people online right now, which
Wow.
for a weeknight isn't...
Yeah, that's not bad
we
at
did
all.
do... we did a bit of a cull by default by moving. We don't expect some of the people who've dropped off to
come and follow.
But, exactly. So we're probably looking at about 40 to 50 members all up.
Yeah, but see, that's very healthy. And speaking of memberships, I mean, for all of our viewers out there, anyone who wants to come to the server, and by the way, you know what? I can never pronounce this server's name. Do you know how to pronounce it? Is it Lathis? Lathis? I honestly don't know.
Look, in my head, I'm saying Lathis.
Okay. Well, that makes two of us, so we'll say it's Lathis. But are you keen to accept applications at the moment, or are we locked down, or what's the story there? Because I'm sure there are, I know for a fact there are lots of our viewers who personally message me saying, "Hey, can I join the guild? Can I join the guild?" And what should they do if they want to join the guild? And are we looking for members?
Yeah, look, no, we're definitely looking for members. We're trying to make sure that the guild is a friendly, happy place that, doesn't people don't get lost in the crowd too much.
Great.
But there's always room for more. And if people are interested, they should come and have a chat with some of the officers. I'm one. You know me from the YouTube channel as Dubid, D-U-B-I-D.
Yep.
But my main character is called Dubois, D-U-B-O-I-R.
Right, so folks, if they're on the server, they should add you as a friend and hunt you down if they're interested. Is there a way outside of the game that they can actually apply to the guild as well, or is it all just done in-game?
Well, they can come visit our website, which is seraphim-rift.com.
Right, seraphim-rift.com. And of course, folks, I'll put that in the doobly-doo below, so you should see that as you're watching this video. So there you go, you've had it from the horse's mouth. Come and join myself, Little Rock, Tallahassee, Crowsius, and Dubid on the Lathis server. Have some good, clean fun with us, and I can speak from experience, and of course, you guys can see in our Let's Play series that these guys are awfully accommodating, and they're always willing to, you know, step aside from what they're doing, put some time aside to help out their fellow guildmates, as you can see. Alright, Dub, well, thank you very much for all of that information. I think it's about time that we queue up for this run. Now, Tallahassee, what is the actual run we're doing again? Sorry? I forget.
It should be Darkening Deeps.
Darkening Deeps, that's the one. So folks, you'll have seen us run the Realm of the Fae, and you'll have seen us run the Iron Tomb. This is a chance for you guys to see a new dungeon here, Darkening Deeps. So what we're going to do now is we'll queue for it, and of course, myself, I'm on my new Chloromancer build, very excited about it, loving playing this build. So I'm going to queue for both damage and support. Dub, what are you queuing for, by the way? Are you going to be DPS?
I'm listed here as tank and damage, or DPS, and I'm happy to play any.
Right, great. And of course, look at that. Silly me, he's dead right. You can see who has chosen what here. And looks like we're just waiting for... Oh no, Crowsius, he's also queued for tank as well. And of course, he's set up as a defensive character there. So it's all ready for us to go. So I'm going to hit ready. Now, Tallahassee, I've got support and damage. In a pinch, I'm not going to do it today, but with this class, would I ever want to choose healing, or am I ever only going to be off heals at the most?
No, you could do heals quite easily, especially when you get further into that tree.
Right, okay, good to know. But of course, we have you...
Someone that you could ask is going to be Dub, because I know he has a level 50 mage.
Oh!
I do.
Well, there you
and
go.
I do love to claw it.
Ah, yeah, and it seems to be a really popular build, both on the forums, and a lot of our commenters are saying, gosh, are you going Chloro? And of course, that's because we're lagging behind a bit in terms of what we've made versus what gets shown, but yet loving it ever since we've changed this build. So, alright, that's interesting. For now, of course, we have our very own Tallahassee, aka Little Rock, doing the heal. So, we're going to hit ready here. There we go, we're all readied up now, I think. Are we? There we go. And we've joined the looking for group queue for a dungeon. And look at that, it's popped straight away. We were going to take a small break, but hey, if you guys are ready to roll, let's do it, yeah? Here we go, going for support.
Let's go.
Alright, we're in like Flynn. Right, so this would be interesting. So what we've chosen to do there is pug the fifth and final member there. So it's a bit of a surprise as to who comes in, and it looks like it's somebody called Son of K, and they are a rogue, offensive rogue. And let's say g'day to them. Hi, hi. There we go. And he or she seems very polite and nice as well. All right, now if I'm right, and by the way, Dub, it's great to have you here. If you've got a high-level mage, if I'm taking this correctly, I need to be so Crow's the tank. So I'm going to put synthesis on him and make sure that I've got Lifebound Veil up. Now, is that the right way to do things?
Hello.
Okay. Well, you've actually got two options now, because you can put Lifebound Veil up and have synthesis through that.
Yep.
Or you can have Life-Giving Veil, which will give the whole group heals from your...
Oh, okay. So effectively, the life-bound veil is effectively a tanking heal type arrangement, and yet the life-giving one is if I want to do some big sort of group heals. Well, they're probably not big actually, but just more general heals. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they're more general heals. They work exactly the same way. It's all based off your damage.
Right, great. And of course, I'm wanting to keep Radiant Spores up at all times, folks, just like the last dungeon run, so that these heals do proc. Alright, so for now then, I think we'll choose to go with the tanky heal bits. We'll see how that goes. And if the party's taking a lot of damage, of course, I can back up Tallahassee or Little Rock with the life-giving veil instead. Alright, so this looks like a really interesting instance. So we got, what is it, some kind of underground city of sorts. Dub, do you know the story behind this or the lore behind this? Are you a lore follower, or you just like to hit things?
I do like to hit things. I like to follow the lore as well, but I can't say I'm a lore fiend. I often forget them, which is good because then I get to reread them.
Yeah, I'm a bit the same as well. And of course, you know, both of us pale in comparison to Tallahassee, who's always stopping to sniff the bloody roses. He wants to read every line of text. He wants to, you know, look at all the silly sights and stuff. I keep saying to him, dude, you know, we just want to get through this and tank and spank things. Come on.
Don't put your OCDs on me, young man.
Uh-oh, looks like I'm going to be buying brunch on Saturday if I'm not careful.
It's your turn.
So these things look like, what are they called? They're night rock flingers. Demi-human corpses. Gosh, they're demi-human. What the hell is that? Okay, I must admit I have been not following the storyline, so I have no clue why we're here, but it looks awesome. It looks fantastic. Love it. Oh, and we're going backwards, are we? No. Oh, look at that. The spawn behind us. So, of course, folks, it's the usual setup. You know, if you're new to doing dungeon runs, then you probably need to explain that, of course, we have a tank character who's going to be taking up all the aggro, and that, of course, is Crow. He's built for it. He can take a beating. And we want to let him build up all the aggro and get the mobs onto him before we start firing off our abilities. And of course we've got the wonderful Little Rock who's on healing duties. So basically anybody that dies, it's Little Rock's fault. Is that how it works? I think so.
I'm happy to.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Yeah, we'll roll with that one. Of course it has absolutely nothing to do with my stupidity. Yeah. And you might remember from our earlier episodes, folks, that what I'm trying to do here is put these radiant spores on any mob and keep that ticking on the mobs, because, of course, what it does is it interacts.
What the hell is the rogue doing?
I'm not sure. Where is he? Oh, he's way back there. Oh, it's because there's a quest down there. Destroy the idol of Mailforge. You know what? We should probably do that.
There's one over here as well.
Oh, is there? Ah.
Yeah, it's up the top as well.
Okay. Maybe one of you guys can message him and say, oi, come over here. And of course, folks, that's one of the risks you run when you do some pugging. Of course, you get people who may or may not be as intuitive or communicative. Not that we're saying that Son of K isn't. Maybe he's trying to get us to go down there and he thinks he's doing the right thing. Who knows? Seems like a nice guy. But anyhow, back to our new Chloromancer build. So I know a lot of you folks there were asking me, hey Sambo, are you going to go down that tree, or rather up that tree? And of course, as you can see, we have. So, you know, the whole idea here is to pop the Radiant Spores ability on the mobs. And of course, what that means is that when that's up there, it's up there for 16 seconds currently, because that's the build I've gotten in my trees. Gives any allies who damage that particular enemy that's got the Radiant Spores on it a 16% chance to actually heal themselves for 100% of the damage they did. So you can see it's vitally important that that is up. And of course we have this synthesis that's running on our tank, and what that means is that it increases the healing they receive from Lifebound Veil by 100%. So that's kind of essential when you're trying to heal the tank, when you're doing tank heals. And of course, Lifebound Veil basically causes life damage dealt by me to heal up to 5 allies within 35 meters of me for 30% of the damage done. So it's very, very powerful little top up there, helping out Tallahassee just keep the edge on the heals. Now Tallahassee, you were saying earlier when we were talking about your particular build on this character, so you're saying it's more of a hot, and by the way folks, hot stands for, of course, heals over time, more of a hot type of healing style than a direct heals type, you know, like a, say, I don't know, I'm going to liken it to a WoW priest. So you're not a WoW priest, you're more of a WoW shaman? Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, I guess. I have healed this particular instance before, and I found doing direct heals all the time. I just was running out of mana.
Oh, okay.
It seems that with the hots, at least on the trash, it's a bit easier.
So it's more mana efficient with the hots.
Yeah, because I can just keep dropping them on Crow and he should be able to live. Right,
right. And of course, folks, being that they're hots, now Tallahassee, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to assume that they're doing low ticks, little low tick heals versus a big upfront, power heal. But presumably the mana cost for these hots is a lot less than your direct heals as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And also because I can drop a few different ones on him, that there's going to be more pots coming on.
Ah, right. And are some of those situational? I mean, because, you know, hot versus direct heal is one side of healing. And by the way, I don't bemoan any healer. It's a really rough job. Do you also have the choice of, you know, AoE heals or as well as hots, or is that something more for your other build?
Well, I only have one group heal at the moment. And
right.
That is annoying. And it takes 128 mana.
Ouch, that's a really high cost, isn't it? But, you know, it is a group heal. Further up your tree, are you going to get options for more group heals, perhaps?
Yeah, that is the idea, I guess, but I haven't seen too many. This was meant to just be a muck around character. And
right, but now you actually...
she's pretty much become one of the major characters.
It has, as usual. As usual, we've gone, hey, Tallahassee, you would come in actually really handy about now. And that's happened a number of times. Okay, so here we go, folks. We've got a quest item there. Destroy the Idol of Mailforge atop the Goblin City. And there you go. That's telling us exactly what this is. It's a Goblin City. So I was half right. Very cool looking, though. I love it. So that is a quest that's... been completed there, and of course it's nice to have the quests inside the dungeon as well. It's not like you have to traverse halfway around the world to do it. So Dub, by the way, this is obviously a level 32 character. You're talking about your mage before. What level is your mage, by the way? Is it maxed out at level 50?
It sure is, yeah.
Wow. So am I right to assume that that was perhaps one of your first characters?
That was my very first character.
Okay, so obviously...
and in fact...
Yeah.
Dubois and Dubid have been my mage and warrior character throughout my MMO career.
Oh, there you go.
Always the mage is the oldest.
Alright, so they obviously both have sentimental value. And have you got any favourites? I mean, obviously playing the mage through to level 50, you'll know that inside out by now. But, you know, actually I'm going to go the other way and ask you a silly question in a way. But what would be the worst thing that you've discovered about your warrior so far? Like, are there any quirks that you really wish Trion would address, or has it all been plain sailing up till now?
Brother. Oh, it's a good question. I did struggle for a little while to find something I was happy soloing and questing with.
In terms of the build for the warrior?
Exactly.
Right.
You know, and I've settled on what I'm using now as DPS, which is a champion Beastmaster hype.
Right.
But I spent quite a lot of time being kind of unhappy with it. It was very hard finding a balance between being able to live through everything, but everything took forever to die, or being able to be quite quick and getting killed as fast as a...
Yeah, and Tallahassee, I mean, obviously, you know, Tallahassee is a warrior as well. Did you, I mean, you've changed specs more than you've had hot dinners, Tallahassee. Is that for the same reasons, just trying to, you know, juggle around the trees and try and find that nice balance that suits your play style?
Yeah, that's what it's basically been for me. Just finding something that I'm happy with.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we talk about this a lot, but I think that's one of the great things about Rift is just this incredible flexibility when it comes to building a character that you like and that suits your playstyle. And I think it's an important message for anyone out there that's watching right now who's thinking, oh, you know, do I want to play another MMO? Is it just going to be like playing WoW or EQ2 or, you know, whatever else you play? And I think, you know, the answer to that is no, it's not like any of those. I mean, obviously there's clear similarities. Yes, it's an ability-based MMO. There's quests, there's dungeon runs, you know, but then on top of that is this layer of uniqueness, and I mean uniqueness. There's stuff in here that you just don't find in any other MMO, and of course, number one being the whole invasion and rift mechanic. I mean, that's just absolutely fantastic. But of course, the big draw card here is the ability to build a character exactly the way you want. You've just heard Dub talk about it there, you know, struggling to find that balance. Part of the game, I think, is actually playing the meta game of your build, because let's not forget, folks, you have 3 trees. Let's bring them up. There they go. 3 of these trees, you can slot any of the roles that you currently have in there, and then of course you can build up to 5 combinations of those 3 to swap between whenever you like. So, you know, Tallahassee and I have talked about this in the past as well, whereas you could have exactly the same character and it could be played by 2 different individuals, and you could have basically 2 completely different characters, even though they're built the same way, just because everybody has their own playstyle. So if you are looking for a game that isn't cookie cutter, that is going to offer you the same sort of character building that you'd expect to find in a classic D&D type scenario, then this is for you without doubt. Dub, have you ever been tempted to roll another alt, or have you got other alts that you've dabbled in, or have you literally stuck with your first loves?
Right. Well, yeah, so I actually have one of each character type. You know,
oh my
mage,
lord!
Warrior, rogue, and cleric. But this is what I found, and it feeds into what you were just saying. That I played my mage and played it as my main far more than I would have in any other game, because
right.
I could just keep swapping around, and I could be a healer and then switch to a nuker and then switch to, you know, my solo spec, and I could do basically all of it to tank.
Yeah, and I mean that's a great point. And Tallahassee, we've spoken about this before in terms of the fact that I mean, obviously you need an alt if you want to go to a completely different archetype, but you know, just as we heard Dub say there, Tallahassee, you've had the same thing in terms of your warrior. You've basically covered off, I mean, it's been everything almost from a rogue to a DPS 2-handing beast through to a tank, and in fact recently through to almost a hunter with your pet. I mean, you know, this is all on the same character. Tallahassee, I mean, have you ever played any other MMO that's offered you that sort of flexibility without actually having to roll a new tune? I haven't.
No, I haven't.
And you know, that it really stands up the testament in terms of the way that they've designed it. And that's the other thing we've spoken about, of course. Can you possibly imagine, folks, trying to design a balance around that kind of flexibility? I mean, you know, I'm thinking that the people who have designed the system are basically rocket scientists or secretly work for NASA or something like that, because, you know, WoW is bad enough. WoW is cookie cutter as it gets now, and of course you all know that you're forced down one talent tree before you can even get to another one, and even then they have major issues trying to balance between PvP and PvE all the time. And yet this is also a very PvP centric game. There's a very healthy and heavy component of Rift which you haven't seen yet in our Let's Play series that is PvP oriented, and of course we're going to cover that off very soon, because Tallahassee, you and I have been having a whole bunch of fun in Warfronts recently, have we not? Loving it.
Yes, we have, and that's something else that we're going to cover off as well.
Yeah, look, you know, in all fairness to Tallahassee, he's been bugging the heck out of me. Samba, you know, we've got to get this on film because it's so good and it's so much fun. And we were playing it the other night on some alts, and you know, PvP in a lot of MMOs sometimes boils down to just a gank fest, but we've had heaps of fun. But anyway, more on that later. Dub, I assume that this guy here, Alchemist Braxtabil, this is our first boss. Am I right?
Yes.
Is there any quirks here that we need to know about?
No, it's a fairly standard fight. We kind of steam through it, but you have to kill his two ads first,
okay.
and you have to avoid the nasty stuff on the ground. But he's basically dead already.
Oh, there we go. Right, okay. Right, so there you go, folks. Heard it from someone who's done it before. Kill the ads first and stay out of the goo on the ground. And of course, that's basically the standard rule for all MMOs. And it still surprises me that sometimes people get, you know, at level 50 plus. In other games anyway, you know, experienced players, you pug a group, and of course pug stands for pickup group, so random strangers that you found, you know, and they're standing in the fire and all the rest of it, and you think, gosh, how many runs have you done? And you should know better, because of course it puts an awful strain on the healer, in this case our poor little rock there, who's having to not only heal the tank, but having to make up for your silliness by standing in the goo. So goodness sakes, folks, if there's one rule that you adhere to when you're playing an MMO, please stay out of the fire. Please. Now, Dub, I'd imagine this is all...
Crow's about to lose his ship with the rogue.
What's that, sorry?
I think Crow is about to lose his ship with the rogue.
Oh, poor old Crow. And of course, Crow's not on voice chat, which is probably a good thing, because we'll be hearing all sorts of cursing coming through. And rather than me explain that, Tallahassee, would you care to explain to our wonderful audience why that would be? What is our rogue not doing right, do you think?
Aggroing everything.
Right, and of course that's the other golden rule. If you have a tank in the party, let the tank take the aggro, because again, it's not only putting an extra strain on the healer who's having to heal you, but you know, it just messes up the whole rhythm. The whole point of this is the tank takes the aggro and they stick on him. He takes the damage because he can afford to, and you as a rogue should be sitting in the back there doing DPS while the enemies are focused on our tank. So if you are a rogue and doing what this rogue is doing, which is just charging ahead and pulling all the aggro, you're not going to make any friends very quickly at all.
And to be a bit fair, to be the devil's advocate, I think he's clued in that we're steamrolling through this, and he's just basically banking on the fact that we're all going to survive, even if he is being unbeaten.
And that's a very good point. Very good point. I think I mentioned that earlier too. That you know, he seems to be a nice guy, so I'm sure he's not doing this on purpose. But as a general rule, yeah, if you do come across somebody who's, you know, quite clearly sort of writing checks that their toon can't cash, to use a great quote from Top Gun, what a great movie that is, of course, then, you know, by all means, it's also your responsibility as a party member to politely say to them, hey, can you stop doing that, please, and let the tank do their job. So if you do see someone who's doing that, don't assume that they're being a butt. They could well be inexperienced and not know that they're not meant to be doing that. So it always pays to be polite
and
first.
He's just gotten me killed.
Oh dear, Little Rock is dead. Alright, so healing duties for us then, I guess.
Yeah, and what happened there was Crow is frozen. I'm not sure if he's disconnected or what, but he's not moving. And,
okay. So we've got a number of issues there.
Assumed that we're all.
So perhaps he has DC'd. Now, actually, this is something maybe you can answer for us, Dub. In a game that I'm more familiar with, a disconnected little icon will actually come up beside a player if they DC. Is there something I'm missing on the UI here, or has Crow actually not DC'd?
No, you're not missing anything. It usually comes up with Link Dead, which is another fairly common thing.
Yeah.
He's moving now, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, maybe there was a bit of lag. In fact, Tallahassee and I were playing the other night, and we were getting pings. By the way, folks, if you want to check what your ping is, your latency and your frame rate, just hover over the little computer icon down here where I'm pointing next to your system support question mark there, and you'll see there latency 390 milliseconds. The other day, we were playing, and I had about 5,000. So there we go. Yeah, and you can see he lagged out. No problems there at all. It's good to know, and of course there's, if that happens to you guys watching, if you're in a pickup group or anything like that and you lag out, it's generally considered polite to wait around for a few minutes, and just in case somebody's, either their computer has crashed or locked up, or they have lagged out, and you give them an opportunity to actually restart their computer or reconnect their connection. It's always polite, and I'm sure you'd want to have the same happen to you. Right, so here we go. It looks
Crow
like
wants to know how the viewers would take it if we kicked the rogue.
Well, that's another option. So, of course, you know, Crow, by virtue of his role, folks, is really the party leader, even though Little Rock has party leader. And you can see there he's actually voted to kick someone. So that is an option, you know, that the leader may choose to make for good reason. And in this case, you know, we're going to say yes, I think, just because that was a bit of a silly move. And looks like he's left the party. There we go. So, you know, hopefully someone will give him some feedback one day and say, hey, just be careful. Although, like Dub said, maybe he did think that we were steamrolling through. But at the end of the day, Crow is the one that's got the hot seat. And if it's his decision to do that, then we will follow him. There we go. We've rejoined the queue, and you can see there we're ready to go. So what the system will do, it will drop a new player, and you can see there we've got Iculus, who is a offensive warrior. He won't be as offensive as Tallahassee, of course, but that's nice of him to join us, and hopefully he'll join us nearby. Actually, Dub, do you know in this game, do new players join us right here, or do they have to start at the beginning?
Now, he will probably have been put into the beginning. The rogue is still standing around. He'll have been put in at the beginning, although he'll obviously have a clear run to run through, but we could run and meet him.
Yeah, we could run back, couldn't we? Now, shouldn't he be showing up on the map? I can't actually see him.
Well, what's probably happened is he hasn't entered the dungeon yet, So the other thing that we can do with the looking for group tool, I don't know if you guys have done this yet.
Probably not.
But just under the mini-map, you've got the little man with a magnifying glass.
We can see that, yep.
If you right-click on it, you can leave the dungeon. And this will just remove you from the dungeon.
Right.
To wherever you were before you entered. And then you'll have the option to enter the dungeon again, which is the same as zoning back in. And that will actually pull anyone else who's outside back into the dungeon. So it might be handy for him.
I see.
If he's having to run. Although I think he's just appeared in he's appeared in the minimap.
Yep, and he's racing towards us now. There he goes, he's in. Thanks very much for that, Dub. Did not know that. That's really good, especially if it pulls everyone in. In fact, that's a feature I love about Guild Wars, of course, is if everyone's ready and one of the party members heads out into an explorable area, which, of course, you folks at home will have seen with Reggie and myself, then everyone gets pulled out or in. It's very handy. Dub, have you played Guild Wars ever before?
Sorry, no, I haven't. I've watched some friends play. Right.
It's another one of those interesting games that has a lot of instancing in it, but of course one of the benefits of that game is there's no monthly sub, and I do know that for some people that's a bit of an off-putting feature of a game like Rift. But of course, folks, reminding you that if you are paying for a subscription game and it's giving you tons and tons of value and lots of updates and additional content and events, just like Rift does, it seems every other week, Tallahassee, we log in and there's a new patch. Every time you message me saying, Sambo, there's a patch, make sure you log in early, then I'm quite happy to pay $14.95 for basically 30 days of 24/7 availability to play a game that I love. But of course that is a choice, and it depends on everyone's budget. So I know Crowsius can hear us here, and he can't speak to us, but it's nice of him. You can see he's waiting for our new player here, Eculus, to come on board. Some party leaders and tanks who are always in a rush, you'll find that they're horribly rude and they'll just run on ahead and they don't care about anyone else. But Crowsius, obviously, very experienced tank, I'd imagine, and he's going to owe me $20 for pumping him up so much. Anyway, here's Eculus. Hello to you, Eculus. Let's give him a wave. Nice of him to join us, and he seems like a nice chap too. Alright, so it looks like we're off again, folks, as we make our way through this, the third dungeon in our series here called Darkening Deeps. And it looks to me like we're getting to up about the sort of 1/3 mark through the dungeon. And whoa, that is a whole... What is that going on? Is that bad AoE, or is that Eculus doing something?
No, that's probably...
Oh, so that's our tank? Is that an
That's
AoE
Crow.
aggro?
That's Crow.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's AoE.
Wow. That was
That
full
is
on.
from the Void Knight tree.
Ah. It's very cool. Very cool. Reminds me of a... Well, actually, it's funny you should say Void Knight, because I was going to say it reminds me of sort of a Death Knight ability from WoW. So, I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but anyway. Right, so, and another thing, folks... Oh, sorry, what was that, Dub?
I was just going to say that it goes back to the EverQuest Shadow.
Of course it does. In fact, every game, I'd imagine, since day dot has a Shadow Knight, Void Knight, Death Knight, Dark Knight type of build available to it. Now, another question I've had for...
Batman.
What's that?
They don't have Batman.
The Batman Dark Knight. Listen to him. Now, listen, you. Speaking of which, one of our viewers wanted to know how you're going with your withdrawal symptoms from your paper crack addiction, because of course those of you in the know will know that Tallahassee and I's comic book shop that we used to go visit every Saturday morning shut down and moved out to the Whoop Whoops out in the Nowhereville, and we don't go there anymore. And of course Tallahassee made a vow that he was going to actually stop buying comics. How are you going? Have you actually stopped buying any? Because if I haven't seen you buy any, but you might be doing it behind my back for all I know.
So far, so good.
Really? So hang on. How many years were you collecting comics for?
I don't know.
More than...
You don't count these things, you just count the amount of long boxes that you have.
Oh, okay, whoops, that's right. Long boxes, folks, being, of course, the big stacks of comics. How many long boxes do you have, oh great comic hunter?
3. 3 or 4.
3 or 4, so of course you know he's toning that down, so he probably has 4 or 5. So after all of that, are you saying that you were able to just literally quit comics cold turkey? Because I find that incredibly hard to believe.
Well, I actually bought a Hellboy Library Edition, Volume 4, so not quite.
So you're not quite off it, but you've weaned it down. Now, Dub, by the way, I don't want to interrupt what's going on here. So there's some kind of scripted event here, is there? Or what do we have to do here or be careful of?
Yeah, so this is Michael Bringhurst. You can see he's the second boss in the list. He's a werewolf.
Oh, good lord. Okay, sorry, caught me
out.
sipping a cup of tea there. A werewolf. All right, so... so he's going to change into one, presumably.
Yes, he's about to realise that he is in fact a werewolf. There he goes. And basically with this fight, what we have to do is get him out of the moonlight, the light on the ground there, as quickly as possible. He'll keep running back into it.
Okay.
But the longer he stays in there, the stronger he
becomes. Right, so you can see there, Crow obviously doing a fantastic job as a tank. He is pulling the werewolf there, Michael Bringhurst, out of the light patch on the ground, just like Dub said. And of course, once again, if you are running in a group that's a pickup group and you've got a new player and they don't do that, you know, don't be nasty and don't start swearing and cursing at the tank and calling them all sorts of horrible names. It's quite possible that they don't know the fight, and of course your role as a good party member is to advise people of what's going on if they don't know. But clearly, Crow has done this many a times. Looks like he can do it in his sleep. Now, I noticed, Dub, that we got some kind of weird effect on a scene, and I actually got sort of locked down. Is that from the werewolf? So he's got some kind of mind control or fear or something?
Yeah, it's a fear.
Okay. And he's down. Look at that, folks. And we've got a couple of nice drops there. We've got a green, we've got a blue. What do we got here? We've got a tearful slicer, which is strength, dexterity, and endurance. And of course, me being a mage, that's going to be no good for me. So rather than greed or need, I'm going to put myself out of the roll pool and hit pass so that people who really can use it can get a better chance of getting it. But what we do have here is a Book of Wanton Secrets. Now, I'm currently rocking a two-hander staff, but if I ever wanted to use a one-hander and offhand, this would be very handy. And once again, folks, if you think you're going to use it, then for all means, and you can, hit need, otherwise hit greed. Now in this case, because it's not my normal cup of tea, I'm just going to hit greed, and hey, if I'm lucky, I'll get it. And look at that, we did get it. Very fortunate, so that means I do have an option now with a nice blue item to use a one-hander with an offhand there. And if we click on it, you can see that's going to give me lots of intelligence, wisdom, and spell power, all our stats, of course, of which we need as a mage. Now, Tallahassee, if I remember rightly, I've got to focus on the burrows in this fight. Is that right? The burrows you can see up ahead there?
That's right.
Alright, so just remember that, folks. If you are a ranged DPSer, do your party a favour when you're in this run. You can see there up in the background there, the Deep Fang burrow. They're actually basically like a mob. And you can see they've got a health bar on there and all the rest of it. And you basically want to burn that down because the burrow is what's responsible for spawning all of these creatures. So you want to try and chew through that as fast as possible, especially if you're an offensive DPS mage. For example, now might have been a good time for me to switch to my Pyro build so I could dispatch this burrow very quickly, because in my current build it's taking me quite a while, unfortunately, because of course I'm not really spec'd for high damage. Do you guys, anyone know, I've never tried to actually change role mid-fight. I presume I can't do it in combat, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. If you look at the moment, well, actually, you probably don't have it. You can make a hotkey so that your different roles, like I've got one in my action bar that's on the right-hand side of my screen, which is where I like the kind of non-combat things.
Yes.
And they grey out. They grey out during combat, so it reminds me that I can't just switch. Otherwise, I'd be unstoppable.
Actually, you know what? You're dead right. I think it must have been Tallahassee probably set that up for me. I've got the same. I've got my two roles here on the side of mine. You're dead right, they're greyed out. So there's a good piece of advice there from Dub. If you want to know if an ability is available in combat or not, take a look at it when you're in combat. If it's greyed out, it's not available to you.
I'm sorry, but has anyone noticed the spider in the wall?
Oh yeah, look at that, up there, Tallahassee. keen sense of observation. We've got a spider stuck in the wall. And of course, it's an MMO. You're going to get those weird glitches from time to time. Pretty funny though. Is it? Oh, we got no line of sight. No, so we can't actually kill it. That's annoying. Maybe it'll pull out. Maybe Crow can actually taunt it out or something. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. Of course, that's exactly what he did. Oh, it's a big spider too.
But luckily, just as we couldn't see it couldn't see us. All its abilities were interrupting, and it couldn't actually touch any.
Which is fantastic, because quite often in MMOs the opposite happens. Alright, let's see if I can quickly switch to my original fire spec. Here we go, changing role. Thank you for waiting, Crow, I appreciate that. Boom, I'm now back on my pyro. So I'm going to go nuts on this particular burrow over here. And gosh, I've forgotten how to play this. I think I have to put down my ground of power. Dub, I think that's what I do. Yes, that's right. In the first place?
Yep, ground of power.
I heard that, Tallahassee. Sorry. And yeah, and then I've got my smouldering power and all those other buffs there that are going to increase my damage output. So let's do that. Gosh, it feels so different, doesn't it, to the Chloromancer build? It's just a totally different feel. Wow.
It is.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've played this. And you can see that den is dropping down a lot faster, of course. Wow. And there you go, folks. That's a perfect example of why you don't need ults if you... Well, I mean, again, unless you're going into a completely different archetype. You know, in a few seconds, space of a few seconds, the tank there waited for us to be able to switch roles. We switched. It didn't inconvenience anybody. Oh, what's that? Is that better than what I've got? It is. I'm going to need on those. And I was able to switch my roles to going from a support class to a absolutely upfront pyro-based nuker. That is Rift for you. It's just that simple. It's that brilliant. There we go. We're going to do this again. Lay down my ground of power, which of course is going to help me regen my mana. And of course, if you've got any buffs, they are going to come off when you do switch roles. Just like switching talents in WoW, it strips you of all your buffs. So don't forget to rebuff yourself and or the party if you have party buffs as well with your new role, which I do have here. Which is my Flaring Intellect, which of course basically boosts everyone in the group or the raid with Intelligence by 10. Of course, it's not going to be much use for our melee-based characters, but still, it is an ability we can use. Now, does anyone know if there's any more dens coming up?
No, I think we're
done with the dens. Alright, so I'm going to switch back to... no, where is it? Oh, where's it gone? Oh, you know what? I didn't put my switchability on my old role. That would be right, wouldn't it? Duh. Of course, different hotbars. So here we go. We're going into our support battery, activating there. There it is, and the party's waiting for us. Thank you, Crow. Appreciate that. There we go. We're back, folks, in the support battery. Putting on our dark armor and our lifebound veil, and I presume I'm going to have to rebuff Crowsius with the synthesis buff as well, so that we get the maximum benefit for him from our lifebound veil. So let's do that. There we go, and we're off again. Casting those Radiant Spores. If you do, at home there, if you do manage to roll yourself Chloro, of course, the golden rule, make sure that Radiant Spores are up all the time, and make sure that one of your Veils is up all the time as well. And do the right thing, unlike myself, and make sure you call your blimmin' pet. Of course, Tallahassee's well familiar with the fact that I'd never do that. But anyway. Alright, and as Tallahassee just said, the other thing that we do know here, of course, is this is the next boss, and we have to stack on his rear. So the tank will probably face him in the other direction. We have to get up his rear, so to speak. It's not as disturbing as it sounds. And another great thing I love about this Chloro, of course, is I can use my pet as a mana battery. I've got a thing here called Sacrifice, no, where is it? Reclaim Power. Drains 10... No, wait a minute, what's it called? I can't remember now. Oh, there it is, Consumption. And effectively it saps beneficial... Oh no, where is it? One of these abilities, Dub, you might be able to help me out here. One of them effectively drains... Yeah, well, it drains health from my little pet and gives me mana. I can't remember what it's called.
Yes. Well, you're using Necromancer as a second role.
Let's have a look. Warlock, Chloromancer, and Necromancer, yeah.
Well, there. So, I actually really dislike Necromancer. It makes me feel icky and disgusting.
Someone's bound as well.
Oh, whoops. Now, that's another thing. If someone is bound, you need to attack them to break them free. Here we go. And it is Who is it? It's a cocoon.
It's
Oh, it's Dub! We definitely want to attack you then. So yeah, folks, if you're watching at home, if someone does get cocooned up, make sure you attack them. It's the only way to free them. Although now I'm stuck with webs, although that's not quite as bad as getting cocooned, of course. So you can see when we can move, we're moving to the rear of the spider here, stacking up together so that we can damage as much as possible. And that's an interesting point that you bring up there, by the way, Dub, about feeling icky, because, you know, I have classes that I'm the same with. Some I actually can't play undead, generally speaking, because it just makes me feel ill. And that's, of course, one of the great things about MMOs is you've got that freedom of choice. If you don't like something, you can just simply avoid it. But I found the skill I'm looking for, which is called Sacrifice Life Mana, and it sacrifices... no, wait a minute, it's called... there it is.
That's a warlock skill.
Yeah, sorry. Reclaim Power. All the icons look the same. It's terrible. Drains 10% of the caster's maximum health from their pet and restores 10% of the caster's maximum power. And I've been using that judiciously because it's just a great little tool. As Tallahassee puts it, a mana battery for topping up my mana. So it's fantastic. Now these, speaking of icky things, these monsters make me feel queasy because they're all slimy and gooey and oozy. I don't know what it is about them, but it just makes me queasy in the stomach. And ever since I first saw them, I think it's because they remind me of garden slugs or something like that. Of course,
well, you've got something to look forward to then.
Oh, have I?
50.
Oh, what's that?
When you get into the expert dungeons, which are the 50 versions of these dungeons, they add some extra bosses.
Oh.
You've got one of these as a boss, right?
Ugh. Okay, not looking forward to that one, that's for sure. And that's a good thing because that's something we've been wanting to know, is what are the heroic versions like. So they're called expert versions and they're built for max level. So presumably, Dub, the actual rewards you're going to get are scaled up to level 50 as well?
Yep. Yes, exactly.
Okay, great stuff.
And so there's 2 tiers.
Right.
There's 2 tiers. This is a tier, or from memory, I think this is a tier 1. I can check in the looking group tool.
That's okay, makes sense, yep.
And so you jump past these on your way up.
Oh, hang on, I'm looking.
And the...
Yeah, normal and tier 1 and tier 2. Is that what you're talking about in the dungeon finder there?
Exactly. So tier 1 and tier 2 is the experts, that you have to be 50 and you have to have certain gear levels to get into.
Oh, so they're actually, the entrance is gated by your gear then?
Yeah, that...
Very interesting. That's something, of course, Tallahassee, you and I play around with all the time in terms of WoW, and that's one of our motivating factors, to try and get our item level up so that we actually can gain access to levels. And it seems to be a mechanic that a number of MMOs are using a lot these days. I could be dreaming, but I don't ever remember having that in the old days. But of course, in the old days, what would happen is you'd all wander into a dungeon well under-specced and under-geared, and then all get completely splattered. So I'm kind of glad that they do have this gating now. Alright, now you can see Crowsius doing the right thing here, folks. Marking the mob. So clearly, Dub, there's a very specific order which we have to beat down these mobs, and he's highlighted the number 1 there on the High Shaman. Is that because he's going to be healing the rest of his mates and his cronies up there?
That's right.
Okay, so clearly we have to take the healer down first. And then obviously number 2 there he's got on the incinerator. I presume that's because he's going to be doing a whole bunch of damage. And then finally the warlord. So again, great leadership skills there from our party leader Crowsius. And if you're ever coming across multiple mobs, always highly recommended that the party leader does mark, especially the tank, because it's him that's going to have to be controlling the fight. Because of course, something like this, folks, it's not just a simple tank and spank. As you heard Dub say, we've got to take out the healer first, because if we don't, we're going to be here forever. So pay attention to your leader. You can see there, by the way, that as we tab through the targets, there we go, we're up to number 2 now. It actually, the number does appear in the portrait as well, so you're never going to be under any doubt as to which mob you're supposed to be fighting next. Now, some games have different methods of marking. For example, WoW has symbols, and they become sort of...
Can you get out of the fire?
What's that?
Can you get out of the fire?
I am out of the fire.
You were standing in the fire.
Oh, was I? That's because I was looking at my party symbol. Whoops. You'll get used to this, Dub. But of course, some games use symbols, some use numbers.
You know what I have to put up with.
I actually prefer the symbols. There we go. Look at that, folks. Quest complete, and the familiar loot symbol up the top there, top center. Click on the bag there, and you'll get yourself a quest popping up saying reward 2,500 XP, 8 gold almost, and a whole bunch of notoriety, which is what they call reputation in this game. We can click finish there, and we have a loot chest to finish off our glorious run. You can see we got there Band of Wanton Visions. That looks very nice, although it's not quite as good as the rings we've got, so we'll just do the right thing and greed on those. And we've got a leather tunic there. Of course, we can't use that at all. We could sell it to a vendor, but it's going to be much more useful to the other classes, so we'll do the right thing and pass on that and give everyone else an opportunity to do it. So that's it, folks. We've run way over time, but that's the end of the dungeon run. You can see behind us there is a portal which will take us out back to where we were. So I doubt Iculus is going to be watching this episode, but he said thanks for the group, so we'll say thank you Iculus as well, because he can't hear us, of course, and he ended up being a really nice player, really polite, and doing his job. A big thank you to Crowsius, who I know can hear me, but who we can't hear. We very much appreciate that run, and what a great tank you are. And look at him taking a nice bow there. Well deserved as well. That was a great little run. Dub, thank you very much for joining us. And more importantly, of course, thanks for joining us on chat. Taking a nice little bow there as well. You know what? I certainly hope, your time permitting, that you'll come and join us on chat for future episodes at some point, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, look, sounds good.
Yep, it'd be great. It'd be nice to actually have someone who knows what they're doing on the Let's Play series. Right, Tallahassee? Yeah, he says.
It really would. It really would.
And of course, as we spin round the back of Tallahassee here, once more to have a look at his fine, let's say to have a look at his fine staff, because that's why we're looking at the rear.
Talent.
Yeah. Thank you, Tallahassee, for hopping on your ult and for doing a fantastic job healing and for taking time out of your busy schedule as usual. And of course, we'll be joining Tallahassee in the next episode, where I think, fine sir, are we going to do a Warfront? I'd like to do one. Are you up for filming an episode in there?
Yeah, let's do one of them.
Yeah, let's do that, he says. And of course, finally, thank you guys at home for watching. Certainly hope you enjoyed that episode, and of course a fantastic way of figuring out your roles and how to actually run a dungeon politely and correctly. Certainly hope you guys at home will join us in the next episode. Until then, it's me, Sambo, and of course us wonderful members from the Seraphim Guild saying take care, have a great day, we'll see you later, and bye-bye.